Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Mike here from Arizona, and I just want to show you some of the growth in the greenhouse. Everything is going amazing. It's getting a little hot in here, so I'm gonna have to start trimming these and making these into new bunches, because the second they get a little bit too warm, they start to burn a little bit on top. These are the red Liguigia. As you can see, everything just grows really good right out of the water on top of these grow beds. Everything is going really well in here. I could not be happier with this. And I do want to point out, though, too, that it's really hard to keep the algae down in these systems, except for these grow beds. There's basically algae free, and the reason why they don't really have a lot of algae in here is because I have the proper amount of cleanup crew in each grow bed, and the cleanup crew I'm using are mystery snails. Mystery snails are amazing at eating algae. This last grow bed, though, I'm going to show you does not have mystery snails, and we have quite a bit of algae, but that's not the reason why I'm showing it to you. I'm showing it to you because I'm running an experiment here, and I want to show you what we got going on in here. Now, as you can see, there's quite a bit of difference. Watercolor slightly green. You have a little bit of some string algae, growing off the sides here, and that's, like I said, all because there's really no cleanup crew in here. I'm going to add some mystery snails to this, so not too concerned. But the experiment that I'm trying here is with Amazon swords. Now, alright, so in the past I've talked about swords and how they actually melt off when you first get them. So I have these in here a couple of days, and yeah, I'm starting to see a little bit of die off, not much, but a little bit, and some of them actually have grown a little bit. It's starting to stick up out the water, and then obviously the ones who've been out of the water for quite some time, it's a little bit hot in here for them. But again, I wanted to see what happens, because in the past what I've done is I take them and I just pop them, right? And I usually get growth right away out of the middle of them, new growth, new leaves. So I wanted to see what happens when I put these guys in here without being potted. And I'm actually pretty happy. I'm starting to see right here in the middle, there's actually new growth, if you can see that. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there is new growth in there. And that's without it even being in any type of substrate, anything like that. Now, my reasoning behind not having the substrate was because in the long run, I see a lot of people just put their swords in gravel. Now keep in mind, yeah, there's some nutrients in the gravel, whatever, but really, what is the difference if the whole system has nutrients in it and the sword itself is not in gravel? Or substrate for that matter. So if it's working in gravel, why wouldn't it work without the gravel? The gravel, all it's doing really is holding it down. So that's my opinion. Let me grab another one here. And down here, there's still little leaves coming out of the middle of the rhizome. So I'm going to keep this project going, but I'm actually going to believe that it's not as important. Granted, I know it's important to pot them in soil and give them root tabs or whatever, and that's what I would do in a more permanent situation. But these aren't in anything, and literally a couple of days in, and they're already growing new growth out of the rhizomes without being planted in anything. Now, again, I apologize about the algae. These plants are not being sold to anybody. These are just my experiment plants. I also have a corkscrew valve in here as well. And again, a couple of days. This is another thing. These melt completely back when you plant them right away. But I'm not going to plant them. But again, these things are growing, and they're not even in anything. They're just basically sitting at the bottom, just getting the nutrients off of the system. So we will see how this works. I'm also doing an experiment here with dwarf sage. Dwarf sage, I am actually planting this. This is in substrate. So this one's going to be no different than other ones I've done. I just want to see how it grows in the system. Because if I can get it to grow in here, I'm probably going to do away with the kiddie pools and just let it grow like this in here. And I might actually put them in one of the bigger bottom pieces so I can have more surface area for it to grow. I actually want to show you this, guys. I'm gonna do an underwater video of this again, just to give you an update. No hair algae whatsoever anywhere in the system. This filter really did its job. My cleanup crew is doing its job. But I've noticed I have a ton of corkscrew valve and jungle valve in there that I didn't even know I had, because I knew I planted it a while ago, but what I have to say is the hair algae engulfed it so heavily that it all died back. Now that there's no hair algae, this stuff has taken control of this bin here. And as you see, I have a couple of lilies here on top, and those lilies are from banana plants that I forgot were in here too. So I'm getting a ton of growth overall on everything in this system. I'm actually going to put some lily pads in here, like actual lily pads, and start growing them out. So I'm starting to get a lot more orders on lily pads, so I might order a bunch of those and keep them in stock instead of just custom ordering for people every time they want them. So if you guys want some lily plants or marginal plants, let me know. This system, I don't have this filter up and running yet. Honestly, I think it's just out of pure laziness at this point. I have plenty of opportunities to set this up, but I haven't. There aren't any fish in there. I want to do guppies in this one as well. I want this system to look like this one in about a week or so with no algae. I do have some lily pads in here. I feel like they would really thrive if there was no algae cover blocking the light from them. But even with the blocked light, they still continue to grow. I mean, look how much, a lot of algae has grown in here since the temperature's gone up. Over the whole winter time, I didn't have any algae, but the goldfish are loving the algae. They're actually eating it like crazy, but it's hard for them to keep up. So I'm going to do probably a complete makeover of this tank too. I'm going to do a really nice water change on here, probably about 80%, and grab the hair algae out by hand, and we should be good to go again for the rest of the summer without the algae. I do have a lot of ram's horn snails in here, so I'm hoping that I can continue just to feed them zucchini and stuff to keep them going, because I actually like the ram's horn snails. They're an amazing cleanup crew. Not quite as good as the mystery snails, but as far as a free cleanup crew, they're good because they reproduce really quickly. And I've learned from my own experience, now you guys might have experienced something different, but I've actually learned that the ram's horns do not eat living plants. Do they eat plants? They can if they're dying, but healthy plants will not be touched by the ram's horns, and ones that are dying off usually get eaten up. So when you have people telling you that their ram's horn snails ate all their plants, it's probably because they didn't have the right conditions and their plants were dying. Ram's horns are really good at taking algae off of the first layer, or say a little bit of a layer of algae off of a plant, and that's kind of what the mystery snails do as well. So you will have plants without algae if you have ram's horn snails. I mean, if they get out of control, that's another story, but it's very easy to keep them in control because they're bigger. It's easy to pick them off. Excuse me, but I don't want to keep rambling on. That is my video. That is my update. You guys have a great day. Please comment, please like, and please subscribe. I will talk to you soon, and I'll talk to you later.